What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so just want to give you guys an update on this whole LeBron trade saga. Now, about a week ago, it looked like a lot of this stuff was just talk for, to sell. I guess I'm still thinking antiquated, just to get likes, clicks, views, just to get some buzz, and just to have something to talk about and during this off season. But while I still think it's very unlikely that he's going to get traded, there is a possibility that LeBron could sulk and be such a nuisance because he's so self-absorbed that he could force the Lakers, especially if the Lakers are not in a championship or at least contending for a championship by midseason. I think that he could force a trade or a buyout or maybe in those types of circumstances. But anyway, Kendrick Perkins, former NBA player, ESPN insider, said recently on his podcast that he believes that LeBron James and Rich Paul are losing power, and they know it, and that statement that Rich Paul put out on behalf of LeBron James was basically them trying to ruffle some feathers to try to pull something of a power move, at least, in a very, I guess, tongue-in-cheek, or as LeBron James tends to do, in a very, indirect way, right? So Kendrick Perkins said, quote, "The Los Angeles Lakers, you got so much going on. You got all this happening. Bron, Rich Paul, putting out a statement that I felt like it really served no purpose but to ruffle the feathers. And you know why he wants to ruffle the feathers? You want to know why? Because it's a new sheriff in town, or should I say sheriffs, plural, in town of LA. Yes, they have a new owner. I know they have the reports that Jenny Buss is still going to be the governor. I don't believe that. You ain't paying $10 billion without calling shots, okay? And when I say new sheriffs, it's not just because of the owner. It's because the focal point, the franchise guy, now is Luka Doncic, an international superstar. It's not a 40-year-old LeBron James. It's not Rich Paul with Clutch Sports no more. No, it's Luka, and it's WME Bill Duffy. I said this on air 2-3 days ago. I said DeAndre Ayton is going to sign with the Lakers because you know who DeAndre Ayton is represented by? WME. So if you don't think that Luka is having a say in what's going on with the Lakers front office right now, you're crazy as hell, but rightfully so. They need him. They want him to resign that contract. Absolutely. They don't want to lose Luka. Luka's number one priority. And for the first time in his narcissist career, he's playing second fiddle, and his ego can't stand it. This egotistical windbag can't stand it. So, he's sort of like, I look at it almost like he's tinkering between trying to be a quote unquote professional and do what's right for the team, but at the same time, his ego is bruised because the thing that really shook him, and the thing that really, it's not going to humble him because he's too far gone a case, is when they acquired Luka Doncic. they almost always beforehand kept LeBron James in the loop when it came to what they were generally going to do as an organization. Now I was wrong about that because I said I thought LeBron James kind of knew. You know what I'm saying? I was wrong, and I'll admit that. I can admit when I'm wrong. Some people only want to be seen as 100% right all the time. I could be wrong at times, but anyway, LeBron, ever since the Luka acquisition, he sees the writing on the wall. But the thing about LeBron James is if you look at his history, right, he can be an agent of chaos. If you look at his history, and that's the only reason why don't completely slam the door on a trade situation, because this guy can be such a dick. Okay, and if you look at another thing as far as his history is concerned, he always leaves franchises worse off than when he arrives. The Miami Heat, when he arrived, now they weren't a championship team. Well, before I even go to that, when he left Cleveland the first time, right? When he arrived there, Cleveland was a pretty mediocre team, right? With Ricky Davis and all them, right? When he left, that first year they won 19 games? When he arrived in Miami, they were a mid-league team ousted in the first round by, I think, Boston, right? When he left, they were a team in absolute disarray, although ultimately they went to an NBA Finals 6 years after he left. When he left Cleveland the second time, they were a franchise in disarray, although they recovered and are now a perennial playoff contending team that, last year won 64 games. If he leaves LA this time, he's going to try to do whatever he can with his spiteful ass. If he feel like he's not appreciated, he's going to try, if he could get his way, to lead the team in tatters. But the new owner is not going to have that shit. So I see Kendrick Perkins believes that he thinks that LeBron may ask for a trade. I'm not totally sold on that. Not still quite yet, but knowing this guy, I could see it. But yeah, I totally agree with Kendrick Perkins when he says that LeBron James and Rich Paul don't have the power and influence that they just had. When I found out that the Lakers, when Jenny Buss, the Buss family sold the team, that told me right there, well, LeBron's influence is waning. That right there told me they was moving on to the Luka Doncic era. You know? So that should right there tell you what's next. And that should be the case. Anybody with common sense should look at that as the case. Luka Doncic is 26 years old, 25, 26 years old. He looks to be in the best shape that he's been in years. Renewed focus, a full entire year to adjust to the Lakers team and their culture and all that. He's going to come out with a vengeance next year. And this guy needs to take a step back. He got to take a step back because Luka and LeBron, to me, cannot coexist on the same team together with one trying to still be the top dog. It's just not going to work. So, if anything, stylistically, if LeBron James cannot, I know he can play more off ball than Luka at this stage, but still, it might be best for them to just if things go as badly as I fear they may have to get rid of LeBron James. But we'll see. We'll see. I get it. I get it. Financially, it's not really feasible. I get it, man. But I never underestimate this guy and his ability to get what he want. I never do it. And after the Luka Doncic trade, I no longer say anything is not possible. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.